The war between the human colonies and the Dravkan Empire had left entire systems in ruin. Worlds once filled with light were now hollowed shells drifting through silence. And at the heart of every alien child's nightmare was one name, the Dragon of Mur, a creature so ancient and terrible that even fleets avoided the nebula it called home. Its scales were said to drink in light, its wings wide enough to eclipse moons. It had destroyed cruisers with a single breath and burned through steel like paper. The Dravkan worshipped it as a god. Humans feared it as a weapon. And when their scouts captured it, bound it in chains forged from stellar iron, it became the galaxy's most dangerous prisoner. On the station Varys 9, the dragon lay silent in its containment sphere. Scientists gathered from every world to study it. Soldiers stood ready with plasma rifles, their fingers trembling. The air hummed with fear. Only one person wasn't afraid, a small human girl named Lena, barely 8 years old, clutching a toy dragon carved from metal scraps. Her father, Dr. Hale, was the lead xenobiologist assigned to study the creature. Lena wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the lab, but children have their ways of slipping past guards. She peeked through the glass and gasped. The dragon was magnificent. Enormous, yes, but broken. Wires fed into its ribs, its scales dull and cracked. The red glow in its eyes flickered faintly, like dying embers. It wasn't roaring. It wasn't moving. It looked sad. When the alarms blared that day, it wasn't because the dragon stirred. It was because Lena had stepped inside the containment room. Lena, her father shouted through the comms. "Get out of there. Now." But she didn't move. She walked right up to the barrier, small boots echoing against the metal floor. The soldiers froze, whispering frantic warnings, afraid any sudden sound would wake the monster. And yet, the dragon's eye opened, not with rage, but with quiet curiosity. The giant head turned, each movement groaning against its chains. Lena stood still, clutching her toy. "You're hurt," she said softly. "Does it hurt a lot?" The scientist screamed for her to stop talking. But something miraculous happened. The dragon blinked. A low hum filled the air, not a growl, but a question. Lena tilted her head. "You sound lonely." The alien technicians panicked. "It's speaking through frequencies," one shouted. "It's communicating." But the only thing Lena did was walk closer. The creature's nostrils flared. The air rippled with heat. Any adult would have turned to ash just from being that close. But the energy faded, drawn back, contained. And then, before anyone could stop her, Lena stood on her tiptoes, reached up, and gently pressed a kiss against the dragon's nose. The room went silent. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The scientists forgot to breathe. The great beast froze, its molten eyes wide. The chains that held it began to glow, not with heat, but with light. The alien alloys that had resisted entire suns began to crack and fall away. And from deep within the creature's chest came a sound none had ever heard before. It was not a roar. It was a sigh. The dragon lowered its head fully to the floor, folding its wings as if bowing. Lena smiled. "You're not scary. You're just tired." The station shook, as if the entire structure took a breath with it. Energy readings went off the charts, yet there was no destruction. Only renewal. The creature's scales flared with new life, shimmering blue and silver instead of blood red. Dr. Hale rushed in, snatching Lena away as soldiers scrambled for cover. But the dragon didn't attack. It simply watched her being carried away, then slowly whispered something that every translator failed to decode. Later, the Dravkan elders were summoned to interpret the sound. Their faces turned pale. It said, one translated, voice trembling, "The innocent has undone the curse." No one understood what that meant, until the dreams began. Every night, soldiers aboard Varys 9 dreamt of a world before the war, before the hatred. They saw dragons soaring beside humans, not against them. And in every dream, a little girl with a toy dragon laughed beside a great silver beast. Lena became a phenomenon overnight. The alien council wanted her tested, scanned, even cloned. Her father refused. "She's just a child," he said. "She saw something we forgot to see, that the enemy still has a heart." But fate wasn't done with them. Months later, when a rogue Dravkin fleet tried to reclaim the dragon by force, the station came under fire. Shields collapsed, oxygen levels dropped, chaos reigned. In the command center, Dr. Hale held his daughter close. "Stay hidden no matter what." But Lena slipped away again. She ran to the containment bay, where the dragon, still weakened, lay chained once more after the council's paranoia. The alarms blared. Fire filled the halls. And through it all, the little girl climbed the control platform, tears streaking her face. "Wake up," she whispered, pounding on the barrier. "Please wake up." Outside, the alien fleet's cannons glowed, ready to obliterate the station. And then, once again, the dragon opened its eyes. It saw her, bruised and crying, and something ancient stirred. The lights died, gravity failed, and the dragon moved. The chains shattered like glass. Its wings burst through the ceiling, unfolding into the void, shielding the station. Its roar shook entire systems. But what stunned everyone most was that the creature didn't flee or destroy. It defended. The alien attackers turned their guns toward it, but their shots evaporated against the dragon's aura. It drew in the energy, then released it, not as fire, but as light. A wave of pure brilliance washed across the fleet, disabling weapons, disarming ships. When it was over, silence returned to space. The dragon hovered outside the station, wings stretching like silver sails. And on the hull, visible even from orbit, stood a small shape, Lena. Somehow she'd reached the outer deck. Everyone watched in horror as the airlock camera showed her walking toward the beast's massive snout. She raised her tiny hand. The dragon lowered its head. And once again, she kissed its nose. Every alien on every ship fell silent. The galaxy's most feared monster, the weapon of extinction, closed its eyes and purred, a deep, resonant hum that rippled through the void. Dr. Hale's voice broke over the calm, "Lena, come back." But the dragon opened its wings and surrounded her in a sphere of shimmering light. When it faded, she was gone, and so was the creature. For weeks, search teams scoured the sector. No trace. No debris. Only whispers. Some said they'd seen a glowing shape in distant nebulae, a massive dragon with a small figure riding upon its head. Others claimed that when you entered certain star fields, you could still hear a child's laughter echoing among the stars. Years later, peace came. The Dravkin Empire and human colonies ended their war. The story of the child and the dragon became legend, taught in schools, carved into monuments, sung in lullabies. Dr. Hale grew old, still watching the skies. And one quiet evening, he saw a streak of light cross above the horizon, silver and blue, moving like wings. He smiled through tears. "She kept her promise," he whispered, because the galaxy's most feared dragon wasn't gone. It had simply found a reason to protect again. And it all began with one tiny human girl who looked at a monster and saw someone worth loving.